In the Sega Dreamcast classic Shenmue, there's a somewhat hidden bad ending, in which the game's protagonist, Ryo Hazuki, is killed by the game's villain, Lan Di. Now this game over ending is actually pretty well hidden, and I doubt that anyone playing Shenmue with the goal of beating the game ever encountered it naturally. But in this video, I'll show you the bad ending, explain how it fits in with the rest of the game's plot, and offer an explanation as to why AM2 might have spent time making this ending in the first place.
Not a chance.
Shenmue begins with an opening cinematic that launches the game's plot and immediately creates the central motivation which will drive Ryo and the player who controls him. The game begins on November 29, 1986. Ryo arrives home to a confusing disaster. His live-in caretaker Ine-san is lying hurt on the ground. His friend Fukusan is unceremoniously beaten and tossed out of the family dojo, and Ryo discovers his father, martial artist Iwao Hazuki, in the midst of a showdown with a mysterious man wearing Chinese robes. It's obvious right away that the mysterious man is dangerous.
Stay back, Ryo.
He demands that Iwao answer a question.
For the last time, where is the mirror?
I've no intention of telling you. Yeah!
The confrontation instantly turns violent, and Iwao Hazuki is swiftly incapacitated with a deadly martial art. The attacker again demands to know the location of the mirror, and again Iwao refuses. The mysterious man then threatens to murder Ryo, unless Iwao gives him what he wants. Rather than see his son die, Iwao gives up the location of the mirror.
The mirror! It's buried under the cherry tree.
Lan Di's henchmen retrieve it, while Lan Di reveals the second purpose of his attack: revenge.
Do you remember Chao Sun Ming?
Chao?
That's the name of the man you killed in Moon Swan.
It can't be. You!
Get up. I'll allow you to die like a warrior.
Father!
Lemi-sama, we have it.
The Chinese man kills Ryo's dad, takes the mirror, and leaves without another word. At this point in the game, both Ryo and the player know nothing except what we've seen in this opening cinematic, that Ryo's father apparently killed someone some time ago, that there is some sort of mirror that's important enough to kill for, and that the mirror and Iwao's life have been taken by a mysterious man in Chinese robes.
Your friends. Keep friends. Those you love close to you. No. Father! No!
Who was the man who murdered Ryo's dad? Why did he want the mirror? What does any of this mean? And how can Ryo avenge his murdered father? Answering these questions is the primary goal of Shenmue, and by the end of the game, we've answered many of them. The man who killed Ryo's dad is named Lan Di, and he's the leader of a criminal organization based out of China called the Chi Yu Men. Later in the game, Ryo discovers more about the mirror from an old compatriot of Iwao Hazuki, Master Chen. Master Chen tells Ryo that the mysterious mirror is called the Dragon Mirror, a legendary artifact which Iwao Hazuki apparently brought back to Japan from China. He says that the mirror has the power to open the gates of heaven and earth, thus resurrecting the Chi Yu, a world-devouring monster from Chinese folklore. It's not clear whether this refers to a literal monster or it's a metaphor for something else, and even Master Chen admits that he does not know the full extent of Lan Di's plans. However, and this is critical to the plot of Shenmue and to Shenmue's game-over ending, Master Chen reveals that the Dragon Mirror is powerless unless it is paired with a second legendary artifact known as the Phoenix Mirror.
Was only one mirror stolen?
Yes, made of stone, a dragon design.
If so, then there's one more. I believe the Phoenix Mirror.
Unbeknownst to Ryo and apparently to Lan Di, at the time of his murder, Iwao Hazuki actually possessed both mirrors.
That mirror? My house?
Perhaps. Find it, and then we'll talk.
Ryo later discovers the location of the second hidden mirror, retrieves it, and continues his quest for answers and revenge. Eventually, he learns that Lan Di has left the country, and the goal of the game becomes Chase Lan Di. Ryo learns where Lan Di has fled to, arranges transportation, works a job to raise money for the ticket to Hong Kong, makes some new friends,
Hey, bro!
and defeat some new enemies. Throughout all of this, time in Shenmue never stops. The hours and days and weeks go by, and as time passes, there's a vague pressure that Lan Di will get away. If we're playing Shenmue with any sort of ambition to see the ending of the game, we'll probably finish the story at some point in the in-game month of January, see the credits, and then move on to Shenmue 2. However, if the player doesn't pursue the goals of the game and somehow manages to run the clock out all the way to April, we see the first hint that there's a fail state ending in Shenmue. I should add here that this is like really difficult. I mean, this is a crazy amount of in-game time. It's 3 or 4 months longer than you need to beat the game on even the most leisurely completionist playthrough. I mean it genuinely. I can't imagine anyone taking this long to beat this game. I spent literal weeks of my life just standing around in Ryo's room, waiting for nighttime so he could go to sleep and start the next day to do it all over again so that I could get this ending and record this video. This ending is super hidden. Anyway, if Ryo still hasn't closed in on Lan Di by April 1st, we see our first hint that they were going to fail. This comes in the form of a dream in which Shenhua, a girl who has haunted Ryo's dreams throughout the game, warns him of an approaching ominous enemy.
When the cherry blossoms fall, the dragon shall descend on you. Hurry.
If the player then fails to complete the game in another 2 weeks of in-game time, we finally see the bad ending on April 15th. Lan Di has learned of the second mirror, he knows that Iwa Hazuki had it, and he returns to finish the job.
I'll never tell you where Ryo-san is! Fukusan! Lan Di! Ryo-san, don't do it!
I heard there's another mirror.
What?
Give it to me, now.
Not a chance.
If that's the way you want it, I'll just take it from you.
I will avenge my father's death.
Now, I have an idea as to why this ending may exist. It may, of course, just be an Easter egg inserted into the game on a whim, but more likely, it's there to force the player into working their way through the game in the way that its creators intended. See, at some point in Shenmue, Ryo learns that he needs a large sum of money to make the trip to Hong Kong.
158,000 yen?
The Hong Kong fare. Pretty expensive, eh?
He earns this money by working in the Yokosuka harbor, and through this phase of the game we learn a lot about the world and characters of Shenmue that ends up being integral to the Shenmue series. The developers obviously wanted the player to experience all of this, because to skip this money-making phase of Shenmue would ruin the game. But Ryo gets money another way in Shenmue. Throughout the game, he receives a daily allowance of 500 yen. He receives this money no matter what at the start of every day, so hypothetically it would be possible for Ryo to just lounge around at home and collect his allowance until he's amassed enough free yen to buy the ticket to Hong Kong. This would preclude about a third of the game, the entire part of the game that takes place in Yokosuka Harbor. So it's possible that this bad ending was made so that Ryo can't possibly raise enough money to get to Hong Kong without getting a job and experiencing everything that happens on that third disc. In this way, Ryo and the player have a hard deadline. You must finish the game by April 15th, or you lose the game and Ryo dies. I have no idea if this is the actual reason that this ending exists, but either way, I'm glad that it does. It's another tiny and realistic detail in a masterpiece of a game that's bursting with tiny realistic details. If you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments, and tell me your favorite detail in the Shenmue series. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.